Yeah, I just graduated from a theatre school, learning how to direct proper theatre in standard theatres, and this being like the first gig after graduating is hilarious because there's absolutely nothing. There's nothing conventional in how the show was made or how it's running.
Relax. We don't have to be cool tonight. We can do or be whatever we want. And tonight, all of us are going together into this glacier!
Time those fanatical minds try to rule all the world.
The show has been in my brain for probably 5 or 6 years. Ever since I started this as a theater, I had the idea and the need to tell this story.
Yeah, the show is born in Kári's brain, and as is this theatre and everything. And when I was working in this theatre 2 years ago as a technician, I was trying to write a play. I never wrote a single word of it, and just stood here and watched Kári's shows and pushed a go button. It was a really good moment for me, like that summer, just to get to know Kári's style and what this theatre is about, really. And then he had this idea about Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Because it's so close to this area, because they go down this glacier, which is like 500 meters away from this house. It feels like the story belongs in this theatre. So I just needed time for the idea to develop in my head, and that's why I waited for so long to make the show, until we had some resources to be able to make it on the scale that I wanted to make it, which is pretty huge. For that to happen, we needed funding from the Icelandic Theatre Association, which is difficult to get, especially when your theatre is in English and it's in one of the tiniest towns in Iceland. They tend not to throw their money to my project. So this was the first year that they actually funded us, and then I had to go for it and do the show.
And now I'm sitting in a whole complete world that didn't exist 3 months ago, which is quite amazing.
We just want to treat every moment of tonight's show as if it's the greatest moment of your entire lives. Laser light show, pew, 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 followed by confetti. Go.
Like, we wanted to create a communal freakout, and we didn't really know how to engage the audience enough and create something that was like a festival or like a street theatre or like a party, and still have a story based on a book and 2 movies. So what we just constantly worked with was just pitch meetings. All of the actors, technicians, everyone constantly coming up with ideas, constantly looking at references and just piling them up to what could be like a constant surprise for the audience, and also a continual challenge on ourselves, because we thought if we are challenged, if we are not safe in the show, then people will respect that and join us.
I wanted to make a show that celebrated imagination, celebrated naivety and play. When I went to the Flaming Lips concert, I've been many times to see them in concert because they're one of my favorite bands. There's always this sense of community in their show, and there's this sense of unbelievable imagination and togetherness, and also a cathartic release of something that's really unexplainable, I think, sometimes. And when I went to see them the last time, I had this idea and I said, I want my show to be like this. Like, this is, and I always think in these terms when I start deciding how the show is going to be. I think about the audience, I think about the audience's response and how I want the audience to be when they come out of the theater. And I thought I want the audience to feel like I feel when I go see The Flaming Lips, but just in a theater show. I knew probably half of the people that I wanted on the team before, so that was quite easy getting the actors because I know them from a long time ago. We went to the same school together, we're friends, and the directors already worked here. But then I also put out an open call for artists, international artists that wanted to be involved, just saying we're going to make this musical. And we're looking for all types of artists.
Like working the show from scratch with Francesca Lombardi, who had before been doing mostly like masks, these kind of masks, and some product design, and then Jordine Cornish, who was like this really talented and creative hip-hop dance maker. Still, everybody had such a strong voice in this like small family, and I think this show would never have turned out to be what it is now, except because they were there from the start, creating and finding things and being very honest of what worked and what didn't. My original experience is quite a lot in street theatre, in this kind of how you penetrate a big space and catch people's focus. So that was something that I just constantly had to go back to, as well as just proper kind of Shakespearean acting, because you need to like use your voice, you need to connect with people and include people like Shakespeare did in the 16th century. We also know that like one of our disadvantages of being a theatre is that we don't have like actual theatre seats, we don't have stage managers or some kind of external producers or anything. We're just a space, a black space. And so one of the things that we just had to do is just to use that to our advantage and be creative and constantly think if the audience knows that we are making this, almost like we're making this up on the spot, then they will kind of respect that some of the rooms are made of cardboard and others of foam, and some of the sets are just like bin bags and whatever. So yeah, it was just this thing of just making a very raw and flexible theatre space. Kauri wanted from the start to have the kids in the show.
It is quite risky to get these kids in, so many of them, especially because I made the decision that regardless of their experience, regardless of experience and age as well, we would take everyone, we would take all of them. So the only thing they needed to do was just show up to the audition, and we would use them, like we would have them involved. Because for me, that was the most important thing, like in Reykjavik or something, and you need to use children in shows, then you would have auditions for Billy Elliot and you can get 10,000 kids and then you just pick them out of a pool. But when you do an audition in Rhys, there are not so many kids. We were just lucky also because these kids are so talented, but just in different ways. So we had to get to know all of them and then individually go like, okay, like, this is your field, this is your field. And then the show developed according to their skills and their, like, how they would blossom in the show, which I think is a really interesting way of working the show.
This is a story that really relates to kids. This is an adventure that is also a great scientific discovery. So when we started working with the kids, it came very easily together. The kids got very involved with our naive kind of story world. And we started developing this from when we started working with the children, that we allowed more naivety and more of us playing like children in the show.
Our youngest daughter, she likes singing and dancing, so we decided to let her go and take a try. Yeah, we had to drive her, of course, to our rehearsals and to the shows now. And we have to go over the mountain, a mountain road. But that's something that we do. It's our choice to live there, and we like to get as much opportunity for her to do what she likes. I think this is a really special opportunity for kids here to be able to take part in such a show. Usually you have to live in Reykjavik or around Reykjavik to be able to maybe take part in something like that. But here is Kári and the freezer, and he is doing so great. And this opportunity was too good to let that slip away.
Now everyone will say, it's so great for the kids that you are allowing them to be in this. It's great, you're giving them all of these opportunities. But yes, obviously I'm really happy to be able to do that. But you should know that we are learning just as much as they are learning. They are teaching us. So we are grateful for being able to work with them. Because that's the gift of this show. And they are the ones that have the heart in the show, and they carry it just as much as we do. It does not feel at all like we are actors and they are kids. It doesn't feel like that when we do the show. It feels like we are all artists doing the show.
Not that I hate Reykjavik or anything. I don't, I love it. Or it's not that I don't like the theatre scene there. The thing about this theatre is that it's in a town of 160 people. And it's a pretty unique space. So all of these previous shows that I've made, they are kind of site-specific. That they are inspired by local stories. They're inspired by stories that happen very close to here. And that's one part of the reason that I want people to come here. Also, the shows are quite ambitious. They're well received here. People are liking coming here, and we get crowds from Reykjavik. And my fear is, and my theory is that if I was to all of a sudden start traveling with all of my shows, especially to Reykjavik, then we would lose that crowd. Like, they wouldn't make the journey here to come to be in this theatre, and that would be a huge shame. Because the whole idea that I had about creating a theatre here revolves around dragging people to this area and making it self-sufficient and making culture a part of this area.
Everybody, me and Valur are good friends of Kári and the crew. And we want to show our appreciation for this amazing first show, and we would like to ask everybody to come out. I will need this for this journey.
I need to make points, and my point is that it belongs here. Like, professional theatre belongs here. It's not weird. I mean, yeah, people thought it was fucking crazy weird when I started it, but it isn't. I mean, why I don't understand why there are not more of these things.